All right, let's talk about the Epstein files. I haven't talked about them that much. I guess I was just kind of frustrated that this is like MAGA's big red line that they're going to throw a big fit about, even though it's been obvious that Trump is in those files. And, we've had so many other things going on, like just completely cutting climate regulations in the sense that, like, companies can just dump whatever they want in the waters, or they're getting permission to pump as much fossil fuels as they want, or kicking 17 million people off healthcare, cutting the physical social security offices in half, removing due process and blackbagging people, sending them to CCOT, Gitmo, a third country, and now even alligator Alcatraz. Is like, come on, people, like, this is your red line. But thinking about it more, this is some pretty big shit, because you could have essentially a lot of people who were in power or are still in power, high influence people, celebrities, people that we may admire, that could be in those files, and we have no idea, and they can just continue living their lives with no consequences. So, and that goes for a lot. But so I've come around a little bit, just a little bit. Anyways, I digress. I want to talk about the vote in Congress. So it was either yesterday or the day before, we had a vote to, basically, it was proposed by Khanna. It was like an amendment to another piece of legislation they were trying to push through. And pretty much every Republican voted no on it. A few abstained, and it ended up not being added. Now, some notable Republicans that voted no on it that we're going to cover here was Mike Johnson. I don't think Thomas Massie voted no on it, but I think he just abstained. But it failed. It failed. However, shortly after, Massie, we're going to read about here from The Hill, Massie moves to force vote on releasing Epstein files. So it seems like he's come up with his own legislation, and from what I've gathered, it's actually kind of better than what Khanna was proposing. It's more detailed about what files need to be released. You can't doctor, you can't redact anything, stuff of that nature. So it was proposed by Massie, and it's going to be interesting to see what the vote on this is, because as we're going to also cover, Mike Johnson has kind of indicated that he wants the files to be released, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Anyways, Representative Thomas Massie on Tuesday said he would try to use a long-shot procedural gambit to force a vote on requiring the Department of Justice to release files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The move comes as President Trump and his administration face blowback from many within the GOP base over their handling of information about the disgraced financer. And as Trump attempts to tamp down the amount of attention the issue is receiving, we all deserve to know what's in the Epstein files, who's implicated, and how deep this corruption goes. Americans were promised justice and transparency, Massie said Tuesday in a post on a social platform X. We're introducing a discharge petition to force a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on releasing the complete files, he added. Massie's resolution, co-sponsored by Khanna. So Khanna was the one that tried to add that original amendment. So, I mean, it's good that he's also signing on and co-sponsoring Massie's resolution. I think this goes to indicate that Massie's resolution may actually be more effective because it's its own little bill, and it's a lot more specific and detailed about what needs to be released. So if that was the plan all along, then, I may give Thomas Massie and even Mike Johnson a pass, but we're going to have to see how the votes turn out. I would hope Massie would at least vote for his own resolution, but it's going to be interesting to see how other Republicans vote, because, depending on what they vote, you're just covering for pedophiles. You are just the party of protecting pedophiles. There's no other way to put it, okay? It's that simple. I assume since this is being co-sponsored by Khanna, that pretty much all Democrats should be signing on to this. So anyways, I digress. So it's basically to require Attorney General Pam Bondi to make publicly available in a searchable, downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the DOJ, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation and United States Attorney's offices that have links with Epstein within 30 days of the measure becoming law. It also says the files cannot be withheld, delayed, or redacted should they cause embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. A discharge petition requires 218 signatures to bypass House leadership and force a vote on the measure. Such petitions are rarely successful, with members of the majority often hesitant to buck their own leaders, and it is rare to see a member of the majority lead the charge on such an effort. Massie, however, hasn't been shy about bucking both Speaker Mike Johnson and Trump. He has most recently opposed White House strikes on Iran and voted against Trump's big, beautiful bill, leading to Trump to threaten an effort to oust him in the midterms. Yeah, like in the House of Representatives, the only principled Republican right now is Thomas Massie. And I think he's more libertarian, but he's the only one that's principled here. Not that I agree with Massie. God no. Like the reasons that he's against the big beautiful bill and the reasons I'm against the big beautiful bill are completely different. He's against it because it doesn't cut enough. Okay, I'm against it because it cuts way too much. Anyways, Khanna, meanwhile, has led a charge on the Democratic side, calling for a House vote to release the Epstein files. Right-wing influencers who have long pushed conspiracy theories about Epstein recently turned their fury towards the Trump administration, especially Bondi, due to recent Justice Department memo seeking to dispel those theories. The memo from last week said no evidence existed that Epstein had a client list or that he tried to blackmail powerful figures implicated in his crimes. It also concluded Epstein's death was due to suicide, pushing back against theories that he was killed in his jail cell. The Hill has reached out to the Department of Justice for comment. Okay, so, and it's going to be interesting because, you need 218 votes to pass House leadership. Well, we also have Mike Johnson calling for the release of the Epstein files. Now, could this just be complete bullshit and he's just going to, make it as hard as possible for this bill to actually go through? Probably. Okay, Mike Johnson is one of the biggest snakes in Congress. He is just a bold-faced liar. There's no other way to put it. But this is a good way to hold his feet to the fire. It's like, hey, dog, you just voted no for it, but you're saying it's one thing. Now you have someone who is a part of your party proposing legislation. What are you going to do? All right. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. So anyways, this is from The Guardian. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson calls for release of Epstein files amid backlash. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, called for the Justice Department to make public documents related to the disgraced financer Jeffrey Epstein, breaking with Donald Trump over an issue that has roiled the president's right-wing base. It was a rare moment of friction between Trump and the Speaker, a top ally on Capitol Hill, and came as the president faces growing backlash from conservatives who had expected him to make public everything known about Epstein, who killed himself in 2019 while in federal custody as he faced sex trafficking charges. Hold on, Guardian. Hold on. Oh, he didn't kill himself. He didn't kill himself. You need an allegedly or something there, all right? You're supposed to be the outlet that's like, yeah, we don't buy into Trump nonsense, so you might want to fix that. Anyways, I digress. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it, Johnson told Benny Johnson, a right-wing podcaster, in an interview released on Tuesday. I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. So I'm not sure when the episode was recorded, if it was even before this vote where he voted no on, or it'd be even before this legislation that Massey's proposing. I'm not sure what the timeline is, but it just came out yesterday, Tuesday, that he said that. So if he doesn't vote on Massey's bill or allow it to go through, then you're just a liar and you are a pedophile protector along with everyone else in your party who opposed this legislation. Referring to a comment Bondi made to Fox News this year that Epstein's client list was sitting on my desk right now to review, Johnson said she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. She does. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved, the speaker added. Is he like saying that this is a major priority and we need to get it resolved, or it's like we need to be focusing on more urgent major priorities, so let's get this thing out of the way? Because I would argue that this is a pretty big priority. Okay, like, and then the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, we have potentially a lot of people in power who were in power, from politicians to celebrities. Like, if these people are pedophiles and on Epstein's list, we need to know, because these people should no longer be able to do and live their lives the way they're living them right now, to put it lightly. As he departed the White House for Pittsburgh earlier on Tuesday, Trump defended Bondi but hinted that more documents could be forthcoming. She handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Oh God, whatever she thinks is credible. Oh God. So My biggest worry now is, one, I hope this passes. Like, it should. This is something that should be however many seats there are, elected people right now, it's hard to keep track because people keep dying or resigning or whatever the fuck, but it should be, several hundred votes to none. It's that simple. Okay? Like, if you are voting no against this, how do you rationalize that? What, you're afraid of hurting the lives of people in those files? We don't need the victims. You can redact any victims. We don't need to see anything of the victims. We need to know the people who were perpetuating these crimes and these heinous acts. But overall, my worry now is that these files, if they still exist, are they going to be actually the files, or are they going to be heavily doctored, and heavily edited, and and they try to say, no, we didn't edit it, this is it, it just says Bill Clinton. Like, yeah, that's the only name on this list. We didn't edit anything, just Bill Clinton. Oh wait, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, stuff like that. That is a worry I have, because this administration is not above just straight up lying and doctoring information, and even in just the most disgraceful ways too, when they photoshopped MS-13 on Alberto Garcia's knuckles and was like, yeah, that's on his knuckles. It's like, we can see a million pictures of his knuckles and they're not there. That's not there. Even the guards at CCOT said, your tattoos are fine, as they continued to still torture him and beat him and stuff. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.